All right, guys, so we've got the Garmin EchoMap UHD 73SV, and it comes with a standard transducer. This thing is Panoptic sonar ready. You will have to buy the Panoptic transducer. It did not come in this package. It's an extra. But this thing's pretty cool. It comes with Navonics. You know, it's touchscreen. It's got a lot of really cool features. It's got a chart plotter, so it's GPS ran. You're gonna know where you're at on the water when using it. And the Navonics is really cool because it shows lots of depths, channels, ports, all sorts of useful information. Opening up the box here, we'll just kind of look at the initial opening her up. She's got her Garmin cover. This is going to go on top of the main unit for simple storage. As you can see on the back here, it's got a plate that we're going to mount to the boat that you'll be able to clip this right inside the plate. We've got our power cable, our transducer cable, and transducer mounts. So here's a transducer mount, a couple of hose clamps. Here's another part of the transducer mount. Here we have our transducer itself with, I believe, a 20-foot cable. It might be a 25-foot cable. Couple more mounting brackets. And here is what I really wanted to get to. Here's that mounting plate. So this mounts onto the boat, but the fish finder just slides right in. It clips into that, and then when you want to remove it, you just pull this guy back and the fish finder comes right out. So that way when you're mooring, you do not have to leave your expensive fish finder inside the boat, being prone to theft. We just cover this up so that the sun doesn't bake the screen, and you take this with you. Here's our power cable right here. It looks like they did send a fuse with it, which is always good to definitely take all your electronics and put them on the proper fuse. Looks like this is a 360 swivel bracket for the main mount. All Garmin, Humminbird, all those products, they come with a nice sticker for you to slap on your boat so everybody knows what gear you're using. But we're gonna go ahead and start installing this. We'll walk you through it and show you how to set it up. All right, so we're gonna install the 360 swivel on this. And the first step is to definitely determine where you are going to mount your console on your boat, whether it be in the front like we're doing here, on the side, in the back. You want to make sure that before you drill any holes, before you make any screwing, you want to make sure that it's in a location that's going to work. So for instance, here we've got an anchor line, we've got a fuel line, and we want to make sure that it's clear of this anchor line, but at the same time we want to make sure that it's still going to be able to swivel all the way around. So we're going to find that good spot that we want this in, and then we're going to mark out the holes and drill pilot holes first. Keep in mind, folks, it's only plastic, so go gentle. All right, so now we're gonna mount this to the 360. I meant to mention it's a nut that goes on the backside of that bracket that you have to put in there first. I had already placed it in there. I forgot to get a clip of it, but that nut has to be in there because you can't get it in once you've already screwed that down. But from this point now, we're just gonna loosen this so we can rotate the holder of the console kind of out of our way. This bolt is going to go down through here, and it's going to screw into our nut that we have placed down inside there. And remove this completely out of our way so that we don't have frustration. All right, now that we've got our swivel mount on there good, now we need to run a hole for our power cable. Now on one end we've got our fuse, which is rather large, and on the other end we've got our connecting point, which is also rather large. So we're gonna have to drill a pretty large hole in order to get it through. Now they did send a cover plate so that once we put that big hole in there, we will be able to cover it. But we are gonna have to drill a pretty large hole to get the power cable inside there. So now we're just going to run the power cable up through the hole, and then we've got our mounting bracket, and we need to drill 2 pilot holes for our mounting bracket. And finally, we want to add our screws to the mounting bracket, nice and slow and gentle.
Dang, it's almost like a marine shop did it.
So now what we need to do is we need to run our hot wire all the way up to the fish finder console. In this case, we're gonna run it back to a switch that comes back here, back by all of the outboards on this accessory switch right here. So really what we need to do is we need to run a hot line from that switch up to the front of the boat where we're gonna mount the finder. Your boat's gonna be different. Everyone's boat's gonna be different as far as how and where you're going to run the wires. As you can see here on this particular boat, we've taken up the floorboard and we've run the wires down underneath of the floorboard because we didn't want to drill any holes inside the boat.
Stop blowing holes in my ship!
So after you've got the power cable ran up to the console where you need it to go, the next thing that we need to do is we need to make sure that we run the transducer up to pretty much the same exact location. You want to definitely check and make sure that your transducer cable is going to be long enough. In this instance, this sled is too long, and so we've had to actually pick up an extension cable to make sure that we can run the entire run. But so we're just going to go ahead and install the mount for the transducer to the boat and this other half of it to the transducer and get them attached. All right, so then we want to figure out where we want to mount the transducer on the hull. We have this transducer plate right here, so we're definitely going to use that so that we don't have to drill a hole in the transom. All we have to do is be underneath of the water line. You can really see that the water line's somewhere right around in here. So we're just going to pick a spot right about here, and I'm just going to use the drill to mark a couple of locations and move the bracket to drill my holes. And then once we've got our holes drilled, then we're just going to go ahead and attach our transducer mount. Now we're going to take our rubber grommet and put it right there. We're going to take the washer and put it on the bolt. Hang the bolt there. Take the nut and place it on the other side. It does have a groove, a hexagonal groove to make the nut stay put. And we're going to run the transducer. We'll re-grab our bolt here. We can leave that rubber grommet on there. And squeeze the transducer in between the two mounts. Line it up. And begin to thread it tight. So now that we've got the transducer mounted, we're just going to take its power cable, make sure to slip it inside of its groove here that holds it. And then we're going to begin to run this cable up and through the assembly for your boat. In our case, we're going to go through this drain plug of the well, and we're going to begin to run this up towards the console. I'll shut that down in there. I'm going to grab me those. So now we're just going to add the extension cable. It's really simple. We just connect the two, but it did come with a bracket that is super important. It just simply goes over. You can see the threads there and the threading on here. Make sure that the thread is to the thread, and then you just fold this guy over and it's going to lock that connection in place, because this is going to be down underneath of the boat and we want to make sure that this is not going to come apart. Now we're going to take off our bracket that covers our hole for our power cable, and we're going to run our transducer through that same hole and then just put it back on. Coming up. So now we've got our transducer and we've got our power ran up to the machine, and we have one more of those little clamps. Again, make sure that the threaded is with the threaded, and then just lock this guy over. That's going to ensure that that transducer cable does not pull out from that housing. So now we have our power cable that we ran forward to the front of the boat, and this is the end of the power cable connecting to the console of the Garmin with its fuse. And so we just need to connect these two wires together. So now that's connected to that side. All right, so then we're going to take a heat shrink. This is a 1/4 inch heat shrink. We don't really need this whole entire thing, so I'm going to actually trim this down a little bit. Then we're just going to slide the heat shrink over this wire. We're just going to kind of let that hang out for a minute so that I can connect my other wire. Squeeze that guy on there. All right, so now we're just going to slide the heat shrink over top of our connector point and give it a good amount of space, even distance on both sides of it. And then we are just going to heat up the shrink wrap. Perfect. So now we just need to connect our ground wires and heat shrink them. And the last thing that we need to do is we need to add a pin connector so that we can add our power for our fish finder to our switch. So we'll just squeeze this guy on there, we'll just stick it on there, squeeze it on, and we'll just connect it to the switch. Now we will just put the switch plate back on. Now we have our proud moment of actually putting on the console and testing and making sure that everything turns on. So we just want to remove this cap, slip the console from the lower end and push it back until it clicks. I'll go switch on my power. Have a brand new fish finder. So now we're just going to put the floorboard back together, and then we'll go out on the water and we'll give this a good test.
It was 80 bucks.
All right, guys, we've got the brand new fish finder installed, and we are now out here at the lake. We are going to do some trolling for kokanee. Devin's got the lake troll going on here, down to a smile blade wedding band. Jason over here is going to use, let's see, what do you got there? You got a lake troll, and then he's running a kokanee brads. If I can see it here. There it is, right there, silver pattern kokanee brads. And then I am running a little pink kokanee rig behind a Wobble Dodger, my favorite blue and silver combo. But we're at Triangle Lake, Oregon, and we're gonna go put this new fish finder to the test, go take a look at how it marks, make sure that it runs perfectly. All right, first turn on. Here we go.
Whoa.
That's a whole group right there.
Now we're about to go through a whole group of kokanee. Fish finder works. I think Josh is an expert installer here. All right, guys. Well, Josh has a fish. He literally just there was a kokanee jumping right here, and then all of a sudden Josh was like, "Oh, look at that! It's on my rod." And he got a nice little kokanee. That's definitely a kokanee. Dude! Yeah, look at that, guys. The old fish finder. That's just an average one. Got him. Are you just gonna let him go, or? Yeah. Look at that. Little kokanee. That's so sick. Heck yeah.
Well, I really hope that the installation was helpful for you guys. And hey, if you want to learn more about kokanee trolling, I got this awesome video right over here. Goes over different kind of trolling kokanee rigs. Until next time, guys, maybe smash that subscribe button and stay fishy. We will see you.